Welcome to Blockchain Recorded, the podcast for the tech curious, where we talk about anything and everything related to the exponentially evolving crypto blockchain and Web 3.0 space. Blockchain Recorded's mission is simple: to share knowledge and insight and help evolve education in blockchain fundamentals and decentralization solutions. We at Blockchain Recorded are not registered investment advisors and do not deal with financial or trading token elements, nor offer any licensed financial services. The content of this podcast is provided for informational and educational purposes only, while the opinions of all parties involved are their own. I'm your host, Nina Cerar. I have a finance background, having worked on Wall Street and the pharmaceutical industry. After living in 5 countries and dedicating time to my family, I left the corporate world. Today, I work as a freelance consultant and am fascinated by the innovative space of crypto and blockchain, different ways of thinking, and the people that are making that happen. So let's talk blockchain. Before we begin, let me say a few words about our sponsors. This episode sponsors Fourth Tech, which is short for Fourth Pillar Technologies. Fourth Tech is a next-gen multi-blockchain ecosystem, platform, cryptocurrency, and a suite of decentralized applications that enable users to exchange data files and instant messages from wallet to wallet in a secure and decentralized way. Fourth Tech supports Ethereum, Dollar, Polkadot Substrate Edgeware, and Solana. Multi-blockchain support enables users to choose the network of their choice according to decentralization, transaction speed, and price. 2 of the Fourth Tech main innovations are 4DX, which can be described as the blockchain WeTransfer alternative, and 4IM, which uses Solana blockchain to serve as an immutable ledger exchanging encrypted short instant messages. This episode is also sponsored by CoinMarketLeague.com. CoinMarketLeague is a platform helping investors to find interesting coins and projects to gain more exposure and social following. At CoinMarketLeague, users can vote for their favorite projects, discover events, and upcoming IDOs on different launch pads. Head on to CoinMarketLeague.com and learn more. So with us today, we have Vanina Ivanova, the Chief Marketing Officer at Ambire. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes.
Formerly the AdEx Network. But Vanina likes to introduce herself as the person with the Twitter password. And you've got me intrigued, Vanina. But before I actually ask you about what that means, in Vanina's career, she has managed marketing and communications projects for various industries. Her work in the fintech industry led her to blockchain and decentralized technology, which she happily embraced. And for the past 5 years, she has been running the marketing of Ambire AdEx and now of Ambire Wallet as well. Her team has the hard task of translating crypto to everyday language and communicating with both crypto native and non-crypto audiences. Welcome, Vanina, to Blockchain Recorded podcast.
Thank you for having me, Nina. It's a real pleasure to be a guest on your podcast.
Thank you. And I actually have to mention that you are the first female guest on our podcast. So today marks a landmark day because usually my guests are, well, all of my guests so far have been men. So it's nice to meet a fellow female from the industry.
There are a lot of amazing women in the blockchain industry. Most of us tend to stay quiet.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to be the first lady on your podcast. It's a really big thing for me.
Yeah, great. So you prefer to introduce yourself as the person with the Twitter password. What do you mean by that?
That's actually an internal joke, an inside joke from the company, because I was first hired at the position of marketing manager or marketing director, if you wish. And then when we started going public, we decided to change that to chief marketing officer. And it sounds so serious and it sounds so important, which I really don't think of myself as of someone who is that important. So that's why I started telling people, whenever people ask me, so what does a chief marketing officer do? I started telling them, well, I hold the Twitter password. And because most of our community is on Twitter, our largest community is on Twitter, it still shows that I'm somewhat important, but it also shows that I don't take myself too seriously and like to focus on grinding and working rather than telling people, hey, look, I'm important.
But of course you're important. So we're all important. But yeah, I understand. I did notice on your website, your descriptions are very cute. You're very personable. And I like that. I think it makes you more personable.
I think it's important for businesses to be approachable and to be human, if you wish, because at the end of the day, we're important. We're dealing with billions of dollars, and billion-dollar industries mostly. But at the end of the day, we are people that get together and work together for a common goal. So I think that's important. I like to do cutesy descriptions of the team and of the company. On one of our recruitment websites, I wrote that our team has so much chemistry between us that we can probably open a meth lab. So, and I think it matters when people deal with a business. They want to know that there are real, actual people behind
of course.
it.
Yeah, no, and if they have chemistry, that's what makes the business thrive, right? I mean, that's what pushes you forward. It's really the people. You can have an excellent product, but if there's no chemistry and if there are issues in the team, then you can't move forward. But let me also mention you've changed the name correctly from AdEx, which was the name previously. You added Ambire, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes, indeed. Well, there's a little bit of backstory that I need to tell you to understand why we rebranded. When we started back in 2016, we were working on a video streaming platform that was gaining a lot of traction, and we wanted to monetize it. So this video streaming hub called Streamio, for it, we tried a few different ad networks, and they all underperformed. They didn't really meet our expectations. And we tried another one and another one and another one. And at one point, we decided that this is not working for us, and we can just create our own ad network. So this is how the idea of AdEx Network was born. This is our origin story. And back then, AdEx Network worked really well because AdEx comes from Ad Exchange, and this is what we were building. 5 years into this adventure, we have already built our ad platform, and it has about 17,000 registered corporate users, which is great. And the platform is not a baby anymore. It's in preschool now, so it has its own life, and it requires a lot less attention from our side. So that led us to another problem that we were facing, and that was using different crypto wallets that, again, they didn't underperform, but they didn't match our expectations in terms of UX. They were confusing. They were complicated, unnecessarily complicated. And we're crypto native people. And we thought, imagine if a non-crypto person has to deal with a wallet that is talking about nonces and gas limits, and people have no idea what is that and why they shouldn't touch one thing or they should adjust the other thing. So that's how we decided to take a bit of the technology that we already have and reuse it and repurpose it to create a new product, which is a DeFi-centered cryptocurrency wallet. And once we decided doing that and started working on the wallet, that it was initially going to be called the AdEx wallet because we had the brand recognition with AdEx Network. But it was confusing because we were working on the actual product. We hadn't redone our website. We had a page on the website for the wallet, but it was confusing. We were telling people that we're building a wallet, leading them to a website of an ad network. So at one point we decided that it was time to rebrand and to kind of come up with a new brand that would encapsulate what we actually do and be able to host all of the products that we create under the same hood, because I'm sure that the wallet is not going to be the last thing that we do. We're just beginning.
You're in preschool.
So that's how we came up with the idea of the rebranding, and that's why we decided to go ahead and rebrand to Ambire. And that's actually, I mean, it doesn't, the word Ambire doesn't mean anything in English, but it's an Italian verb that means to aspire, to want more. And that's what we do. That's what we do. So we figured it was really, really fitting to our DNA, to our company DNA. And that's why today we have Ambire as a company. And then under the hood, we have Ambire AdEx, the ad network, and Ambire Wallet that will be released super soon for the general public. It's now in private beta.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, we'll definitely get to that. So given what you've said so far, I take it you've been in this space for a long time. Well, it's in blockchain speak, that's like decades probably. But I was wondering if I could get your take on the evolution of the crypto and blockchain industry sort of for the past couple of years, what they meant for you.
Well, if I have to sum it up in one phrase, the past few years have been a roller coaster for me. Emotional, technological, business roller coaster, if you wish. Because as you know, things develop so quickly. There are literally new products and new paradigms coming up overnight. Things that didn't exist the previous day, and we need to get acquainted with and learn the next day to stay on top of things. So yeah, the past few years have been insane. I first heard of cryptocurrency back in, I think, 2013. And back then there was just Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. That was it. And also back then I was working in the fintech industry, and I only considered them from an economical perspective, from a financial perspective. I never really got into the technological part. Back then we weren't talking about blockchain. Nobody had heard about blockchain. Right. And then just a mere 3 years later, blockchain was blowing out. It was beginning to get so big with Ethereum and smart contracts and the ability to create your own dApp relatively easily. And that's when we got into that game. That's when we started working on AdEx Network, and things changed so much. I still sometimes revisit our very first version of the white paper of AdEx Network, and I read things and I'm like, oh my God, that seems so stupid. Why did we go that way?
You're probably not the only one.
Yeah, and then I remember, oh yeah, we went that way. Yeah. Because the other technology didn't exist yet. The other protocol didn't exist yet. So that's how incredibly fast-paced the industry has been. And I, as a part of that industry, I have felt every little bit of it in terms of informational overload, in terms of excitement for new technology, in terms of ideas of what we can do with blockchain. So these have been a few very, very exciting years for me.
And what about now? What about 2021?
Things are continuing to go that way. Like, just a few months ago, nobody was talking about NFTs, and now we have NFTs. A year ago, nobody was talking about DeFi, and now we have decentralized finance and this vast new universe in front of us. A year ago, I had probably just heard of the metaverse, but like never really gotten into it. Right. And now Facebook is becoming meta. So,
I know it's going really fast. It's going really fast.
It is going so fast that, to be honest, I don't even dare to make a prediction what's going to come next.
Yeah, no, we can't, or no one can really. And yeah, just exactly what you said. So, for me, just in terms of talking to you, of course, we have the explosion of DeFi, and then we see blockchain, solutions for the supply chain industry, and then the music industry. And of course, now we have this NFT stuff going on, and et cetera, et cetera. And I have to admit, I actually searched on YouTube and a few other channels, and I didn't find that much information in terms of the marketing or ad industry. Or I shouldn't actually use those interchangeably, right? Because marketing is everything, and the ad space is a part of marketing.
Yeah, I guess you can use it interchangeably, because marketing is like the bigger picture, and then advertising is just one part of marketing.
Right.
But I think that in 2021 and 2022, marketing mostly focuses on advertising and digital advertising.
Correct.
That is what has been exploding really in the space, and even now, it's a funny observation, but because I am interested in non-traditional education, non-formal education. And I try to keep up with trends in that field as well. And I noticed that before, most of marketing and advertising courses and classes started with, introduction to marketing, basic marketing fundamentals and stuff like that.
Yes.
Right now, people jump straight to digital advertising and using different platforms and making the most of Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever, if you wish.
Yes.
So there's this shift in the paradigm, and I think that is what allows us to, just use one term on the other and mean the same thing.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that. And I mean, I don't want to get off a tangent, but I think it's actually really relevant. That you said introduction to marketing. I went to an undergraduate business school, so that's exactly what I got. My marketing class was, marketing 101 was introduction to marketing. And then I actually later on, I was in finance, but I did work for an online newspaper company. It was actually right after the dot-com boom. And so I do have a sense of, but this was like almost 20 years ago in terms of, clicks and impressions. And so, but it's evolved so much. So when you say the digital ad space, marketing space, I mean, for me now, it's almost like science fiction with all the algorithms and everything that is sort of pestering the end user, which sort of, let me actually take that a step further. One of the questions that you have on your website, you actually exposed a question that sort of shows a problem, right? You have the question of, why is the ad tech industry so broken? And this really resonated with me, as you are clearly aiming to solve a problem. But maybe before you can answer this question and everything that we just talked about, maybe can you help us paint the picture of the digital marketing ad space today, and maybe where did it go wrong?
Sure. I mean, I'll try.
Or if you can say,
because I can talk about this. I can talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
But
short. Yeah.
To keep it brief, I think everything started getting messed up when the big companies like Facebook and Google started introducing and tweaking their algorithms and profiling people more and more and more and more. So at a certain point, we got to a day and age where everybody is being profiled, where Amazon knows that you're pregnant before you know that you're pregnant. For example, there was an article about that recently. About a lady who found out that she was pregnant when Amazon suggested prenatal care.
Jesus, oh my God,
yeah,
that's just insane. That's just crazy.
Exactly. This is just, it's too far. We've taken it too far. I as a marketer, I was really excited about the opportunity to profile people and get the right target audience and play with the targeting of my ad campaigns and be able to reach the right people and make the sale. I was really excited about that at the beginning, before we all collectively realized the privacy violation that this is, because it started as anonymized data, as customer groups. And it evolved to the point where a certain provider or ad network knows my purchasing habits and can predict with certainty what I will purchase today, tomorrow, the day after that. And that is not okay. I think that's super wrong. So
or steer you in the direction that you don't even know if you want to go into, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's very, it violates
powering
all sorts of privacy issues.
Advertising today is powering consumerism to a point where it's becoming unhealthy. And it's unhealthy for us as people on a psychological level, and it's unhealthy for the planet, because we only have this planet, and we're consuming so much and so quickly that we're basically covering the planet in junk.
I'm so happy you were saying this, by the way, because I'm a layperson. In terms of the digital marketing industry, I'm an end user. That's how I see myself, right? And it honestly, and I am just giving my opinion, it makes me angry. I want the ads off. I don't want it to track me. I don't want it to follow me. I want nothing. And it's just something has to be done.
I understand where you're coming from exactly, because even though I work in the field and I'm the person who's supposed to convince other people to to buy products and services, I am also annoyed because we have to set a border somewhere. We have to set the line somewhere and not cross that line, but we've already crossed it, and it's a problem. It's a problem for the users, and it's a problem for the industry, because the more users get annoyed, end users, I mean here, the more they seek alternatives like ad blockers and privacy-focused browsers and apps that don't track them, and everybody loses from that. That same industry that is trying to push products and services onto people is losing because of that. And that leads me to the other problem. That's the problem for advertisers and publishers. And I will circle back to our origin story. This is how AdEx was born, because as a publisher, the media platform that we had didn't get proper reporting for the traffic that we were getting. There was a huge mismatch, a huge gap between our estimations for our revenues and the actual revenues that we were getting from monetizing our traffic. And again, for advertisers, I've been in that role as well, as an advertiser, pouring literally buckets of money into the bottomless pit that is Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever. And then you get a report that is centralized. Google is giving you a report that you can't verify, you can't track. And most ad networks do that, of course. They give you a report and you have to trust them blindly. And if you have your own internal system for tracking and you see a discrepancy there and you ask about that, you never get a straight answer. You always get some lame explanation of, oh, but maybe you're not tracking it correctly. No, I am tracking it correctly.
Yeah, you're the one who's doing it wrong.
You're the one who's not giving me the information. So that leads us to an advertising supply chain that is the opposite of open and transparent and clear. It is just a black box, and you can analyze the outcome and you can analyze the input, but you can never actually figure out what's happening in between. And again, that leads to mistrust on behalf of advertisers and also on behalf of publishers, because people are suspicious when they check out a new ad network. They're like, okay, if I'm a publisher and I have a website, I don't want a random ad network to collect data about my readers, for example, or my users, because then I'm the one who has placed people in the position of having their privacy compromised as the publisher. Again, as an advertiser, I want to make the sale, obviously, but at what cost?
Yes.
We have reached, I talked about us polluting the planet, but we've actually polluted the internet. The advertising industry has polluted the internet.
Exactly.
And it's time to get back to a cleaner and better internet. And one of the ways to do that is by introducing new standards for the ad industry, for the ad tech industry.
You mentioned, before we actually move on here, because we have the ball rolling, you mentioned publishers, advertisers, end users, sort of these terms. Can you maybe just, for someone who does not know how these interplay, who are the publishers, or what are the publishers? What are the advertisers? How do these roles interplay with each other? I mean, we know end users are end users. It's basically whoever's using it in the end, but maybe publishers and advertisers.
Sure. Advertisers are the people who have a service or a product to advertise. So these are the people who pay for the ads, and they create the actual ads and put them, whether on TV or online, it doesn't really matter, but they put them out. Then publishers are the people who broadcast those ads. A website, a blog, personal blog with ads could be a publisher, or a platform that shows ads. Sometimes, and then in between you have the ad network, and sometimes the actual ad exchange, the actual ad network is a publisher as well, as is the case with Facebook, for example. When you use Facebook's ad platform, it's Facebook that broadcasts the ads. And not an external site. With Google, it's a hybrid model. Google would, depending on the types of ads that you choose, if you choose, for example, to advertise on Google search, then again, Google is both the ad network and the publisher. But if you decide to use Google for display advertising, for banner ads, for example, you can publish those ads on third-party websites that show ads, and these are again the publishers.
Perfect. So, and you said, you can actually be an advertiser and publisher all in one. Depending on the model, correct? Is that's what I'm taking from this as well?
You can be an ad network and a publisher all in one. But of course, you can also be an advertiser and a publisher. Like if you have a website that kind of, say you are a news website that has advertising property for sale available, and you use an ad network to fill in this space, but you also want to advertise your website so that it reaches to more people, then you can be an advertiser and a publisher at the same time as well.
So let's backtrack a bit. 2017 was sort of the ICO era. And in terms of crypto and blockchain and marketing, a lot was promised in 2017, with all the different industries. So where do you think you are now in terms of, you said you're in preschool era, but where do you think you are in this sort of solution track?
Well, I think that we are so much, I know it's probably going to sound a little bit arrogant, but we are so far ahead than we were 5 years ago. That it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm looking at our company, at our team. I'm looking at myself and trying. It's unfathomable how much we've learned and how much we've created during those past years. Because as you said, 2016, 2017, the golden age of ICOs, a lot was promised and very little was delivered, sadly. One of the reasons for that was that some teams just didn't follow through. Other teams lost their funding in the crypto winter that followed shortly after that. So they couldn't go on. But our team persevered, and today we like to joke that we're one of the OGs in crypto. But the joke aside, and I can say that, and I don't, even if it does sound arrogant, I'm super proud to work with these people. But our team is one of the most competent teams in crypto today, in terms of understanding the blockchain technology, in terms of understanding Ethereum and smart contracts and alternative chains. The Ambire team is incredible, and the learning process is ongoing with us. So there hasn't been a time when we've stopped even for a second to take a breath, if you wish. It has been an ongoing, I'll say grind, but I don't mean it in a negative, connotation. Like, it has been very exciting for us to learn and develop and acquire these new skills that we have today.
So how many devs do you have? How big is your team?
The team right now is about 20 people. To be honest, I'm not sure how many of them are devs. I would need to count, but approximately half of them are developers. And then the other half are marketing, sales, customer support, and administrative professionals. So yeah, we're just a handful of people doing incredible things. And if you don't mind me, another thing that I would like to mention here, and I think that's important to kind of like, to finish answering the question where we are today. The core team of AdEx Network, the people who began AdEx Network in 2016, is the same team that we have today. We have just been adding people, and nobody has left, which is
good for you.
I know, that's incredible. You. So that's why I like to brag about it.
Well, that's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. So you definitely are the OG in all different, in all respects. Well, let me take now a step further. I actually did glance at your white paper, and so you actually have a sentence. So you say that the protocol that AdEx puts forth combines traditional peer-to-peer technology, cryptography, and blockchain. So clearly you see a blockchain as a solution to what you deem, or to the problem that you actually defined before. Can you actually take us through what that means with respect to marketing or ad solutions, and actually how do you use blockchain?
Well, when we first started using blockchain, we thought that we had a different idea, but again, the technology was not mature enough. So things have changed a lot in the past few years. But the one solution that I think is most valuable for the ad tech industry is our Outpace solution that basically allows micropayments on Ethereum. And each impression on our ad network is a micropayment. So publishers get paid per impression. And because it's a payment on Ethereum, it's written on the blockchain. Of course, they're batched for optimization, but they're all written on the blockchain, and that allows 100% traceability, and that allows both publishers and advertisers to verify that yes, this is the number of impressions that they got, this is the number of clicks that they got, this is the money that they paid for their advertising campaign. So basically, we're using the blockchain to bring back that transparency that the ad tech industry has lost in time, and to make sure that everyone has an independent way to track their advertising budgets or track their advertising net revenues. So I think that's the biggest contribution that we've made to the space so far. And then on the other hand, we also use contextual targeting, which means that the ads that are broadcast on a particular website are matched to the topic of that website. So the user doesn't get profiled. The end user, we collect zero data about the end user.
Okay, that was one of my questions. You collect zero data. How? Okay. So can the marketing? Sorry, but can the ad industry? We're all used to we all just know that the ad industry collects all of our data. Can the ad industry survive without that?
It can. In the long term, it can.
If you want to systematically change it, right?
I mean, when you think about it, that was the way we had ads. 10 years ago, and we were doing fine.
Right.
We were doing just fine. So I think it is a sustainable model. It is not ideal in the sense that it provides a targeting that is not so precise. But again, it protects user privacy. It gives us back the power to say, I don't want you to track me. I don't want you to know what my purchasing habits are. I don't want you to intrude my personal life at that level. So yes, it is possible because I'm not being profiled, and the platform doesn't know that I have already seen this ad on this site today. It may show me the same ad on another site, and it will not target me as precisely. But it's a way to go, and I think that it's a very healthy way to go in order to bring back ethics to the space and make sure that people are not being profiled. Because the way it works basically is, say you are on a website about cars and you're reading about cars, and then the ads that you will see on that site with contextual advertising would be ads for, I don't know, car parts or car dealerships or car washes, if you wish. So you have a little bit of variety with that type of targeting. It's really not as precise as profiling. But it's not intrusive, it's not invasive. And I think that at the end of the day, it's not ideal for advertisers, but that's what people want.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I think that is what will prevail.
Right. It should. You mentioned a layer 2 scaling solution. Is this your own layer 2?
Yes.
So in-house. So you developed your own.
We developed our own layer 2 solution, the so-called Outpace.
Outpace. Okay.
Yeah, it's an acronym, and to be honest, I'm not even sure.
Okay.
We'll
have a dev on in some later point.
Yeah. This is the layer 2 solution that allows us to first of all batch transactions, the microtransactions that I mentioned, and we do that for gas optimization and for cost optimization, so that more money goes to the pocket of the publisher and not paid in Ethereum gas fees or any
Right.
other unnecessary fees.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's the one purpose of that layer 2 solution, and it's trustless, which is, again, it lets
Mm-hmm.
everything to be verified. It doesn't require another authority to pop in and say, hey, that's correct, that's not correct. So yeah, okay, I got the acronym. OutPay stands for Off-Chain Unidirectional Trustless Payment Channels.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
and
layer two.
basically it allows us to process a lot more, because that blockchain is still a little bit slow. So this allows us to scale the ad network, and this allows us to basically process much more transactions per second than Visa processes, for example. And today we are the largest payment channel network on Ethereum. So
I actually read that. That's amazing.
yeah, and it's open source. You can
Yeah.
take you can it's on our GitHub profile. You can take it and use it as you see fit.
I read somewhere, I don't know if you can answer this, that you experiment with Cosmos and Polkadot as well.
Yes. We build on Substrate, and what we build on Substrate is the AdEx registry. The AdEx registry is basically responsible for appointing validators for every advertising campaign that happens on our network. Validators are basically nodes that verify the data and confirm and verify and process the payments from the advertiser to the publisher. So every campaign on our network needs to have a validator, a couple of validators. Right now, we are the only ones running validators, but in the future, people will be able to run their own validators if they want to. So there will be public validators available, and for these public validators, we will have a registry, and that registry we have actually built on Substrate. The one thing that has made us put a pin in it for now is the fact that Polkadot itself is not as developed as we expected it to be at this point, and there's still no Ethereum bridge for Polkadot. So that is like, we have the Substrate development, but it's on hold right now because it hasn't been released, because of we're just waiting for Polkadot to get a little bit more mature.
Okay.
But we are very big we're very big on blockchain interoperability. And again, back then when we started doing that, there were no bridges like we have today, for example, between Ethereum and Polygon, or between Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. We didn't have that back then. When we started looking into that, we didn't have it. So Polkadot and Cosmos seemed like great opportunities. Unfortunately, Cosmos is even farther behind Polkadot in terms of development. But yeah, we've just put a pin in that. We haven't given up on it. So as soon as we have a more mature technology from Polkadot side, we're just going to go on with it.
Great. So you are mentioning, so layer 2, you're solving the high cost associated with the, with the Ethereum gas fees, et cetera. So we all know crypto can be used for payments. I actually read that you're solving the volatility with the DAI stablecoin, and that you have an AdEx protocol native token, correct?
Correct. Yes. We have the...
Yeah, maybe you can explain to us, and maybe you can take us through the tokenizational model. I also noticed you have staking.
Yes.
So you can go crazy with all the questions.
Yeah. So I mentioned that earlier, but back in 2017, when we were starting out with AdEx, ICOs were a big thing. So we decided to have a crowdfunding campaign ourselves in order to secure the funding for that project, because we knew that it was going to be big. We knew that it was, this was something that we wanted to continue for years and years ahead. And we needed to have the funding before the ad platform would start generating revenue itself. So this is why we had an ICO, and we generated the ADX token, the native token for our network. And initially, we thought that this would be the token, we had planned for this to be the token used within the platform for paying for ad space and for publishers getting paid in ADX. Why we did that? Because there were no stable coins back then.
Of course.
They literally did not exist.
Right.
So later on, we realized that this is not a viable model because of the volatility of the ADX coin. It's just not sustainable in terms of planning your advertising and marketing budgets and evaluating cost. It would just make things a lot more confusing than they should be. We were aiming for simplicity, not confusion. So this is why we decided to switch to the DAI cryptocurrency in the platform. So right now, all fees are paid and ad campaigns are launched in DAI. And accounts are funded in DAI, and publishers gets paid in DAI because as a stable coin, this stable coin allows us to mimic a traditional ad network as closely as possible, and take the good parts of it, like for example, being able to plan a marketing budget properly. So that's why we switched to DAI, but that doesn't mean that the ADX token became irrelevant. It is relevant in the sense of the validators that I mentioned earlier. So basically, the ADX token is used for staking. And staking is done towards the validators. Right now, we only have the one staking pool validator, Tom, available on our staking portal. So basically, everyone who stakes their ADX tokens to the validator Tom pool basically vouches for the Tom pool. Right now, there is no slashing. There are no penalties. In the future, we will introduce penalties for misbehaving validators. So validators that go offline, for example, and that stops all the campaigns that are running through that validator. So basically, staking towards a validator, whether it's one run by us or a public validator, it reinforces the trust in that validator. It makes it more secure and more preferable for advertisers when they're choosing their validators for their campaigns. And that's the purpose of the ADX tokens. Again, when a campaign is launched on the platform, there are some small validator fees paid out. And these fees basically pay for the staking rewards that people get from staking their ADX.
So Tom pool, and I also noticed you also have a loyalty pool. Is that correct?
We have a loyalty pool. Basically, the difference between the loyalty pool and Tom pool is that Tom pool has a 20-day unbond period, but it has a higher return. The API there is generally higher, while the loyalty pool has no unbonding period, so there's no lockup period. You can take your stake tokens at any given time, but the reward is lower. At the beginning, the loyalty pool was the pool that allowed people governance over decisions regarding AdEx and now Ambire. Later on, we decided that stakers in the Tom pool should have that privilege as well. So now anyone who stakes either in the loyalty pool or in the validator Tom pool can participate in governance votes that concern our business.
And the loyalty pool, is it capped?
It is capped, yes. It's capped at 30 million tokens. Right now, it shows more than that because of auto-compounding. So basically, the rewards that are accumulated are auto-compounded within the pool, and that's why it stands at more than 30 million tokens. But yeah, it's full now. I'm afraid it's full, and even I myself cannot stake more tokens to the loyalty pool. Yeah, we reached the cap a while ago. So right now we are at 34 million ADX tokens staked in that pool. And we need to get to under 30 million in order for people to be able to stake again there.
Oh, I understand. And so this loyalty pool, it's more of like a derivative compared to
yes, exactly.
Right. It's more like I don't know. I think more like a Yearn finance protocol.
Exactly. Basically, the ADX tokens that you stake within that pool are wrapped to generate the ADX loyalty token, and that token allows you governance votes, and voting power in governance votes.
So if it's capped, is this going to stay this way, or any plans to sort of expand or maybe add another pool? Or I'm sure you have your hands busy on non-DeFi things.
We definitely will be adding more pools when more validators are available. Basically, as soon as we have public validators available, all the public validators that are within the registry will be available for staking, because this is how advertisers will be able to select which validator is the most dependable and which validator they should choose if they decide not to run their own validator, for example, and just use the public validators.
I saw, is ADX listed on Binance?
It is, yes. We are listed on, I think we're listed on about 30 exchanges. The latest one was KuCoin. We literally just listed there. So yeah, we're available on Binance. We're available on Bittrex, on Huobi. So yeah.
Very cool.
Also, obviously, also DEXs like Uniswap and SushiSwap. There's a lot of liquidity there. On Ethereum, not so much on Polygon, but
And you mentioned you're also involved in the wallet. So you have your Ambire AdEx wallet. Is that what it's called? Or
it's just Ambire wallet, yeah.
Ambire wallet, okay.
Ambire wallet is something that I am so excited about. I literally, all of my friends don't want to hang out with me anymore because that's all I talk about.
That's all you talk about.
Ambire wallet. Yeah, as I said, we noticed a problem, and the problem is that we use crypto a lot. We use DeFi protocols. And these are complex. Even for us, they're complicated. We don't always get it. How does this thing work? How does that thing work? And we want to be able to use more and more of these. But it gets frustrating at one point. So that's how we decided to create a new wallet that will make things easy, and that will kind of like get everything under the same hood. And that's how we came up with the concept of Ambire wallet. Right now we are in private beta, and I've had my greedy hands on that wallet. For some time now, and let me tell you, it's glorious. if I may say so myself, it's a lovely wallet that would allow people to, first of all, to log in with a username and password, while providing you the necessary security to be protected and to have your crypto assets safe. But you can still log in with a username and a password. And that means that you can log in from any device, and it doesn't have to be Web3 enabled, and it doesn't have to have a browser extension or whatever, because, I still find myself struggling with MetaMask on mobile devices, for example, or other wallets on mobile devices. And you can't even connect a hardware wallet to a mobile device. Then again, with Ambire wallet, you'll be able to log in with an email and password. But if you want, you can connect a MetaMask address to it, or you can connect the hardware wallet, which will give you an additional layer of security for your transactions and for your assets. It will allow you to tap into different protocols from DeFi with one click, literally with one click. The other day, I put some money into Aave with one click.
Oh,
it was
really?
It was amazing. I was so excited to be able to do that, because we have already integrated that, and later on we're going to integrate more protocols, more DeFi protocols like Compound and Earn, and you can easily transact. You can switch between networks again with a single click, and it happens just so quickly and so flawlessly. And the most important thing about Ambire Wallet is that we have really focused on user experience and the user journey, because we want to make things. There are so many complexities that are being associated with having a crypto wallet, but we're getting this and handling it under the hood So on top of that, people have a really seamless experience, and it's really easy for them. We allow transactions batching. We eliminate Ethereum approvals, all these things that are complicated and confusing for even for crypto native people, let alone non-crypto people. We want to have a wallet, basically. I mean, that's I'm speaking from my personal experience here, but I think that also goes for the rest of the team. We want to have a wallet that we can give to our parents.
Yeah.
And they can use it without calling us 10 times an hour to ask, what is this and what is that?
Of course, or just to be able, I think that's exactly what the problem is in general, making it, I think the first hurdle is trust, right?
Yes.
For that generation to start also interacting in the space. I think a lot of the generation of my parents, baby boomer generation, I think they, like you said, user experience, ease of use. So it's intuitive, but I think the biggest thing is trust and privacy and safety. Right.
Exactly. I've had this conversation.
People are still wary of, I'll be honest, even for myself, to have a mobile wallet.
I understand where you're coming from. And yeah, I went through that as well. Now, to be honest, today I'm very comfortable with using mobile wallets as well. Because I know where where I can be potentially vulnerable. So I can protect myself. But again, for a regular person, you can't expect them to go through this learning curve. You can't expect people to get a degree in cybersecurity just so that they can use a crypto wallet on their phone.
Yeah, we all kind of had to do that. But yeah,
it's insane, and that's also a communications problem. I've had this conversation with my own mother, who's a university professor in her late 60s.
Wow.
So she's curious about crypto. She wants to invest in crypto. She wants to, to look into that, to play with it a little bit. But I don't let her, because it's too confusing. And I know my mom, and I know that, where she can mess up things. And I know how easily she can lose her assets if she uses an existing solution. So that's why, I'm waiting for Ambire wallet to be released for everyone so that I can onboard my mom. But when we speak about crypto, she tells me she's confused and it sounds too complex and she's too old for this. And I'm like, no, you're not too old. Nobody's too old or too young for this, obviously.
No,
you don't need to understand the technology. Yeah, the technology behind it is really complex and it's confusing, but you don't need to understand it. You need to have a tool that lets you transact without having to understand that. And I think that this is what we're doing. Because if you think about it, not so long ago, credit cards were not a thing and people didn't understand and didn't use credit cards. And today, again, my mom would take out her credit card in any store and pay for her groceries or pay for a plane ticket or whatever with her credit card. And she feels comfortable with that. She trusts it. Exactly. The question, the matter of trust. She trusts the credit card and she feels like she understands it. And I'm like, okay, that's not the case here. Really, let's talk about it. Do you actually know how credit cards work? Do you know what a payment processor is? Do you know what a BIN sponsor is? Do you know, how transactions get routed and approved? What's the risk management procedure for every credit card transaction? And this is where you have these few seconds of silence, and and my mom goes, "Oh, right, okay." So we need to. I think this is what we need to overcome in terms of communicating blockchain to people. In terms of that communication goes through UX and through user journeys that are simple and easy to understand. Because honestly, people don't need to understand Ethereum approvals, for example. They just need to click and confirm their transaction and, know that they've paid whoever this crypto or that crypto.
And that their funds are safe.
And that their funds are safe.
And that, so that it's, because I think, one problem is that a lot of people just click everywhere and you don't really have, I guess you could argue that you don't need to know how things are working, but because people now, we've become so comfortable in our consumer ways, it can kind of come back to bite us, right? So in a way, it's important so that you have the basics, but I think I would say it's quite a challenge to to bring it closer so that you have the whole package safe, secure, and just plug and play, right?
And convenient.
It's quite an art. It's not even, it's a science, but it's also an art how to do that.
I understand.
But since you're in the ad industry, I think you have quite, you've actually set yourself an important goal, and you're also incorporating all the relevant, even financial components. So
indeed. And
yeah,
I do agree with you. I do agree with you that, there is a very fine balance between convenience and security and protecting your assets. But at the end of the day, it's not up to the end user to solve this problem. This problem should be solved by us, by developers, by companies working in the space. Because it is up to us to offer people a product that is as foolproof as possible. Obviously, we will continue to educate people on cybersecurity. We will continue educating people on how to protect their assets and how to stay safe online and how not to click on everything that pops up on their phone. But it is up to us to ensure that we have provided the highest possible level of protection on a development and technological level, so that anyone can go online and sign up for a crypto wallet and use cryptocurrency safely and securely.
Yes. So let's shift a bit, because you did mention NFTs at the beginning of our conversation. Do you have a take on NFTs, or are you tackling NFTs in your industry at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, not directly.
Okay.
But we have played with NFTs. I have played with NFTs myself, because I like to joke that I'm a crazy person with an iPad and an Apple Pencil, which automatically makes me a creator. Obviously,
well, you have the Twitter password.
I do have the Twitter password, and I do have the Apple Pencil. So I did mint a couple of NFTs of my own just to see how the process works. And I did. I mean, I literally drew a picture, like made a GIF or a GIF on my iPad, and then uploaded it to OpenSea just to see how the process works.
Okay,
because
very cool.
That's how you learn. You have to be curious.
Yes,
and you have to pay the fee, in this case the Ethereum fee, to learn. I think that's the best way to learn.
Sure.
But we also had a charity NFT auction at AdEx that didn't really play out as well as we expected. It didn't gain the traction that we expected because it was slightly different than traditional NFT sales that we see right now. But we are excited, as a company, we are excited about NFTs. We've even added a tab in the Ambire wallet where you can literally see your NFTs that you have on OpenSea or different platforms. I'm literally looking at my NFTs right now within my Ambire wallet.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
That's pretty cool, I think. Yeah. And on a personal level, I am very excited about NFTs because it is opening a brand new world to artists and to creators, because art. I talked about that the other day with somebody. Art and art dealing used to be a very elite thing. So most people wouldn't even think, when you have to decorate your house, you don't go to an art gallery, you go to IKEA.
Yes, that's where you start. You don't go to Sotheby's, or you don't go to
exactly.
Christie's or Sotheby's.
That's the public perception that art, like the unique and actual art is unattainable. And if you want to have art, you have to either get a reproduction or go to IKEA and buy a poster that is mass produced. And that's not really the case. That's not the case. And I think NFT is bringing light to that and is allowing a lot more artists and content creators to monetize their work in a more meaningful way, while allowing people to acquire unique pieces of art. And that's amazing because we do have, obviously we have the pixelated, apes and whatever, and cyberpunks and whatever NFTs there are popping up every day. But you also have actual art dealerships using NFTs for art sales, and that's amazing. I think that this is incredible. You no longer have to be Van Gogh and die to start making money.
Yeah,
You can
or just
actually be
die.
a
Yeah.
digital artist. Yeah, I mean, make money without having to die for that.
True, true.
So I'm very thrilled about NFTs, and obviously they also have the application in gaming and in the metaverse as well. So that's
Yeah.
that's exciting as well.
Yeah, you did allude a little bit before that it's difficult to project what will happen overall in the industry and just in the crypto industry in general. But maybe you must have some perspective on the future of marketing, or maybe what you wish, where you wish the digital marketing or digital ad space will go. Can you maybe share your thoughts on that?
Sure. I'd love to. We have a lot more legislation on privacy available today than we had just a few years ago. GDPR is one example in Europe, and anyone offering services to European Union citizens or residents. We have the legislation in the States. We have such legislation in Brazil. So the world is beginning to shift their focus back to privacy and putting that on into a legal framework to protect people. So I think that this is something that we'll see developing and unfolding more in the upcoming years. I think that more and more countries will jump on that bandwagon and will start coming up with their own privacy protection laws, which will be great. And yes, it will hinder technological development, or maybe it will empower technological development and make existing ad networks look into different directions and into different ways of doing business. To be honest, so far it hasn't panned out as well as we expected it. We were very excited about GDPR, but what GDPR did was basically make ad networks, and here I'm talking mostly about the big ones like Amazon and Google and Facebook. It literally made them look into other ways in which they can profile people without calling it profiling, and finding the loopholes in the law. But I think that people are getting wary. The end users, the people who use the ad blockers, are getting wary of that, and we are as a species, as humans, I think that we're going to start demanding our privacy more and more and more, which will lead more networks more advertisers and publishers to look for alternatives to the giants, and that will empower companies like ours to provide that alternative, and to give people what they actually want and what they actually need. So I'm excited, and I think that we're going to see a lot more developments in that field. We're going to see more people being rewarded for their attention, with either with tokens or in some other way. This is something that, because that's the most valuable commodity that we have right now in the marketing world, the people's attention, because attention spans are getting smaller. People get overloaded,
because it's overloaded. Absolutely, there's too much stimulation. There's just too much, right?
So I think that this is something that we'll be focusing more and more on, rewarding people and trying to get people's attention in a meaningful way. So that's one field where I also anticipate development. I think that for the focus on privacy, the two big trends that I see in the ad tech industry are basically rewarding attention and reclaiming privacy.
Wow. Well, I don't see a better point to sort of end our podcast on. You actually, I have a couple of sort of questions drawn out, and you just answered all of them. In terms of, I sincerely hope it will go in this direction. Hopefully the governments and regulators will also keep the pace on the Facebooks and the Googles, right? We'll see crossed. What Meta pans out, what Meta will bring, right? Or not.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not really very optimistic about that, because just a couple of years ago, they came up with this huge statement about Libra and their own cryptocurrency. And where is Libra today, guys? Zuckerberg, where is Libra? Tell us. Haven't heard anything about it in a while. So
no.
So we'll see.
Definitely. Vanina, is there anything that you would like to add that I haven't asked? Maybe that you would like to expand on more, or did we cover almost everything that you wanted to share in this podcast with us?
I would like to leave one message with the audience of the podcast. It would be, tell your friends about blockchain. Tell your non-crypto friends about crypto, and try to get people excited, because we're all fighting for mass adoption, and mass adoption is slow. And it's slow because blockchain is slow, and because gas fees are high, and because people are afraid of blockchain, and it sounds big and scary and complex. Talk to your friends about crypto and try to educate as many people as possible. Look into all the positives that blockchain and crypto have, empowering the unbanked and allowing people to get their privacy in their own hands. And we'll get there, maybe slower than we expected, but we will get there.
Well, thank you. Thanks for that. And on that note, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. I'm happy to like I said, to talk to a fellow female, not to divide the females and the males, etc. But it is nice to finally talk to a lady friend. And I'm fascinated to hear, I'm actually excited to hear your strides in the ad industry. You've actually opened up quite an enigma for me. And in terms of the digital advertising space, I always thought it was so complicated and very scary. And I always wanted to click off everything. This is, of course, an end user saying in lay terms, but I'm actually very glad that someone is trying to solve this problem of the broken ad industry. And I wish you all the best. And I hope to perhaps maybe have you on again someday at a later point in time, maybe in 6 months or a year, and see where you guys are.
That would be lovely. I would love to be here, because it's, being on this podcast is absolutely delightful.
Well, thank you, Vanina. And we'll love to hear how your progress is going, and maybe hope to have you soon on again, maybe one of your colleagues or you. And we'll hopefully speak with you again soon.
Indeed. Thank you for having me, Nina.
Thanks again to Vanina from Ambire, as well as thank you everyone for listening. A big thanks goes to Fourth Tech and Coin Market League for co-sponsoring this episode. Thank you also to the Barian Music team for providing their music. You can check out their latest album on barianmusic.com. You can find all supporting information on our website, blockchainrecorded.com, and listen to us on Google, Apple, Amazon Podcasts, as well as Spotify, Radio Public, and Stitcher. Be well and stay tuned for our next episode.